to top our discussion about the differences of group 1 and group 2 hormones, let's now answer the question how hormones participate in the process of cellular response to a certain stimuli, to a certain stimulus. No? For the case of lipophilic hormones, we have identified the hormone receptor complex as the mediator of the signal transduction process. Now, so the hormone receptor complex, once produced when the hormone traverses the plasma membrane, finds its receptor in the cytoplasm or in the nucleus, and receptor hormones, the receptor in the hormone molecule bind, okay, produces or results to gene transcription either be regulated, upregulated, or downregulated, or the HR receptor or the HR complex rather may also influence the activity of transporter channels. No? More so for the case, or on the other hand, for the case of group 2 hormones, case of hydrophilic hormones, we've identified several secondary messengers as carriers or intermediaries, and these different secondary messengers may result into into all of the into all possible effects. They may result to modification of a certain protein. um, Either the protein will change its conformation, will become insensitive to a certain molecule, right? uh, could also be that the protein be translocated, right? So localization of substances or proteins from one organelle to another, or from one area of the cell to another area, or from inside of the cell to the outside of the cell. For the case of secretory responses, could also be that um, hydrophilic hormones modify transporter channels, and ultimately may also affect transcription, no? Up to the molecular level of transcribing RNAs. Right? Group 2 hormones can induce such effects or such effect. Let's further examine how uh, the different groups of hormones participate in the process of response creation. No? For the case of group 1, lipophilic hormones, we have a nice example here, two examples of gene expression regulated by group 1 hormones. We have identified glucocorticoids and tyronine. Okay, so we have glucocorticoids and tyronine or thyroid hormones. So the triangular shape or the triangle shape here represents glucocorticoids, while the circle shape here actually represents thyroid hormones. Let's first examine the case of glucocorticoid hormones. So we know that glucocorticoid hormones are steroidal, so they are capable of passing through the plasma membrane represented by the black rectangular structure. So they can easily pass through the plasma membrane. They can find their cognate receptor in the cytoplasm. It's represented here by this structure. So this is the cognate receptor for glucocorticoid, and this cognate receptor for glucocorticoid is associated with a chaperone protein, a heat shock protein, an HSP. Once the glucocorticoid recognizes, or once the receptor recognizes the hormone, the recognition domain of the receptor recognizes the hormone, it binds to it, right? And as it binds, conformational change happens. The HSP protein, the heat shock protein, dissociates from the complex, and the receptor undergoes some conformational change. Now, the hormone receptor complex will serve as a mediator of the signal generation process. So our glucocorticoid receptor complex will now traverse or